Sometimes, unless you look real close, you're not able to see what's really happening on the inside, the real struggles, the real hurdles, the everyday grit that people share. It's not just about success, it's just about being. Chris Hiner opens up about his daily grit next.
This is A Dash of Grit. Recipes for success from courageous leaders who overcome challenges and build great things. Now, podcasting from Spire to leaders in local communities like yours, here is Brian Leflock.
And let's get cooking. You know, we think of banks as big, powerful, monolithic industries, but they are filled with people, real people, just like you and just like me. And I'm excited for you to meet one of them today on A Dash of Grit. My guest today is the division president of the Park National Bank, formerly Richland Bank, many locations right here in Ohio, also serves on the Richland County Foundation Board, the Ohio Health Board, and the NCSC Foundation Board. He's Chris Hiner, the division president of the Park National Bank right here in Ohio, our guest today on A Dash of Grit. Chris, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. I think people are going to really like to hear the community presence that you bring to a big bank right here in our area. So I'm excited for folks to meet you. Can you tell us a little bit about success before we get into the grit, which is what this show is all about? Tell me what's great. What's going well for Chris? What's going well for the bank? Talk a little bit about success.
Sure. What's success or defining success? I think having two healthy little children is the ultimate pinnacle of success for me. I have a 7-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son, and watching them grow and learn and adapt in this changing environment and still seeing them thrive, that would be success, coupled with finding ways to help people financially, because their financial health impacts their physical, mental, and spiritual health and well-being as well.
Yeah. And how's that going for you now? I know we're in the middle of a crazy time, to say the least. How is that service happening now? Are you able to make those impacts in people's lives?
We are. How we serve customers may have changed, but we're serving people and finding ways to adapt. It's been an amazing year in a lot of ways, just because of the amount of people we've been able to help. There's been some struggle out there with some small businesses, so helping them with the payroll protection program loan earlier in the year, then working through the forgiveness. Rates are incredibly low, so people have been taking advantage of refinancing their homes, and the housing market is hot, so people are buying new homes right now. The stock market has put everyone's heart and wallets on a roller coaster this year. So to say we're about where we were at the beginning of the year is a major win, because at one point it was down to 20+%.
Yeah.
So by and large, it's been good, because we're seeing a lot of people being able to help them.
Now, Chris, for those that don't know, Park National Bank is a local bank, but a very large institution that serves many people in Ohio. Can you tell me a little bit about the depth and the kind of mission of Park National Bank?
Sure. It's a conglomerate of 12 different community banks that have came together under one brand across Ohio, Kentucky, North and South Carolina. I always like to say we're big enough to do whatever you need, small enough to do it right. And we strive to have that personal attention. And ultimately, our number one goal, and you'll probably hear it a lot because I truly believe it, is to serve more. Finding ways to serve more. And what more means depends on each and every person. Being open, accessible, being human. We all have struggles. We all have things that happen that are great. And we're here to find where you're at in your journey and where we're at in our journey, and work together.
And so let's talk about that. That's the part that I'm excited to get into, is the human nature of it. I said at the beginning that sometimes banks feel like these big, non-touchable organizations, but they're not. And they're filled with real people. And they're filled with real people like you. And I'm wondering, as we get into the meat of the show, the grit, can you share some things in your climb to what we would call a very successful position as president of the bank? Share some struggles that you've kind of had to overcome and go through in your life, and as you've accomplished this success.
I guess one of the first things that come to mind is I'm hard of hearing. And It wasn't at birth. It was about 15 and a half years old. Went to the doctor. I think I just needed my ears cleaned because my parents noticed the TV was getting louder. And everything looked good. I didn't have anything in my ears. So went to the audiologist at Akron Children's Hospital and his hearing test and said, you need to wear hearing aids. So I wore one hearing aid all through high school. Was able to get great grades, play sports, and do everything along those lines. And then in college, I ended up wearing 2 hearing aids. So well over half my life, I've had to adapt and adjust to being hard of hearing.
And so, what about those adaptations and adjustments? What kind of struggles did it cause? I've not been hard of hearing, and I don't know what that must be like. Share that with us, if you don't mind.
Sure. I guess sometimes I can come across to some people that my wife laughs at me because I'd be talking on the phone and I thought the conversation was over. So I hang up. And he was like, well, they're still talking. Well, I have to call them back and finish that story. I don't do it often. Or if somebody has their back to me and they're talking, and I sometimes don't hear them, or I'll walk away from a conversation that I think's over or that I never knew began. And so overcoming that, I'm pretty forthright about it. Hey, make sure you're looking at me when we're talking, because I'm not rude. I'm not trying to be not caring. Didn't hear you talking.
It is what it is. It's something that you have to. And so, do you tell people in advance to expect a little bit of difference here, or do you just let it play out?
No, I sort of just let it play out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there are plenty of things I can do and do catch, but there's also things too that in some ways it made me self-conscious. I love to swim, and we have a lot of people that we get together with in the non-COVID world and swim. Well, I either don't go under the water, or if I take my hearing aids out, I miss the entire part. And so there's some trade-offs. It's not, you can't take everything at the same time.
So I'm wondering, in the business world, let's shift into the business world a little bit and share with me, if you don't mind, maybe you don't have to share names, but have there been some opportunities or instances where that problem, that hurdle, that opportunity to show grit has gotten in the way of business? Business is pretty fast and pretty hard and not always very personal. And has that ever been a hindrance for you?
Just when I'm taking people's vital information, sometimes if I have to ask for a social security number 2, 3, 4 times, you can see on their facial expressions or hear on their voice if it's over the phone, like, do you really know what he's talking about? And I've been able to adapt and find ways around that. We have, if they're a current customer, we have a lot of information on file already. So if I can get 60% of it, I can piece the rest together. But yeah, it has been, there's been challenges where I've mistyped a social or misspelled a last name, or lost maybe some credibility that I've had to overcome and rebound and show that I'm competent and capable of what they need to get done.
And how do you do that? So I'm working with you, and I think, boy, he just doesn't get me. He doesn't understand me. He doesn't. This doesn't feel right for whatever. How do you make that switch and make it work in such a way that you can make me again feel good about you and doing business with you?
Good question in that regard. A lot of it just comes natural in some ways, because I guess I don't know how to put words to it, but you have to use other resources and find ways. Like I've had people that have called and left voicemails, and I have to grab someone and listen to my voicemail just to figure out what they're saying, whether they talk incredibly fast or their words might have been jumbled, or accents sometimes are a challenge. It's just using the resources around. I try and follow up often with email or text, just to, if there's something I was missing, then I would be able to get that information back in text. Mm-hmm. But there's still confidential information that you don't want to email and text back and forth too. So just using resources around you.
Do you find, Chris, that your limitations, if we can call them limitations, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but the thing that we're struggling with, does it make you like listen more and understand more and even get deeper than maybe someone who wouldn't that doesn't have that issue?
I've had some people that have maybe misconstrued or whatever that by intensity or being very attentive, sitting at the front, sitting closer, looking, leaning forward as being incredibly intense. So I'm just trying to absorb everything. I might not be a person that can hear very well, but I consider myself a good listener.
Hmm.
And there is difference between that. I try to avoid distractions and be very attentive in that regard.
Yeah. And so you're able to actually, I mean, that's a really key point. Listening and hearing are not the same thing, are they? Hearing is the function of it, but listening is truly understanding and truly being able to have empathy and to understand what someone's saying. Has there ever been a time in your career that the hearing issues actually wasn't something you could overcome? It actually cost you an opportunity, or the business meeting didn't go well, or it just didn't work out. You weren't able to overcome that hurdle.
Yeah, I think there's been a few of those over my career, and I just stepped back and said I knew enough from emotional intelligence that this isn't working. We're not a good pair, and I've let someone else step in and say, hey, I think that you'd work better with them. I physically can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard. The first time somebody from the state of Ohio said, well, you're disabled. And I'm like, the heck if I am.
Mm-hmm.
In a textbook sense, yes, I am. In a mental standpoint, physical standpoint, I don't see myself as that. And I think I can relate with a lot of people like, no, I'm capable of doing a whole lot of things. But when I first came to the bank, I stood up and was talking to our staff meeting about the United Way and the importance of the United Way here locally. I thought if I didn't have these two pieces of plastic in my ear, how my life would have been different. Or if technology, if I was born in the 1800s, how technology has helped me and allowed me to be able to contribute to society.
Mm-hmm.
That it was an emotional moment at the time because I didn't realize how much I valued two hearing aids because they dictate a large percentage of my life without them.
And I'm struck by the idea of you serve on these boards and you serve this community, and you're really, especially with United Way, that's serving people that don't have things and are trying to make lives better for others. Does that ever strike you as, I'm really glad I'm able to give back in this way?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing that I see in the future is I want to be able to help those that really are middle income, because that's one thing that is I found as a challenge is insurance pays for people that have eye disease to get contacts or glasses. If you have a broken bone, they pay to get that fixed and you're covered with insurance. There isn't any, or very few companies that offer hearing insurance companies. So I've written letters to our state representatives, the Congress, multiple times advocating for hearing coverage. Because that's something that people take for granted until they need it or their parents need it. I mean, I was 15 and a half with hearing aids. I have hopefully a long life in front of me with needing hearing aids. And $5,000 to $7,000 every few years, that's a lot of money. Could put a burden on folks, that's for sure.
Yeah, boy, I guess. And so again, as you look into the community, I'm interested as the division president of Park National Bank. So you're talking with regular people like you and me and helping me with the daily struggles. That's one thing. What about your roles as president of the bank and the more of a corporate approach to how you serve? Does the hearing issues cause problems in that a little differently than otherwise?
Depending on the room size and the makeup, yeah, it can. I mean, I've been in meetings before where I might have got 40% of what was said. So I do rely on notes. Like when notes get sent out or minutes get sent out of meetings, I read them because it helps me fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Some people wonder why the heck do we even do them? You might be doing them for me.
Yeah.
Or the other number of undocumented people that have hearing loss that didn't catch a certain thing, or that they were busy writing and missed something. So yeah, it has its challenges, but I try not to dwell on those.
I think it's really cool that you've overcome these things. You're the president, division president of the bank there, and that's to me a huge level of success. I'm wondering if you ever had any instance where you were actually held back, maybe even not deservingly so, but there was a hurdle you were trying to overcome or a place you were trying to get to, and because of the hearing loss, they said no. Was there ever anything like that as far as you kind of moved through your career?
It's never been said in that regard. I've been very proud of the bank, of embracing the diversity of having a disability. But I would say in college, it might have been a little bit different. Playing athletics, it was never said, but not being able to hear on the field, and I was a center on the football team. If I don't hear Hut go, then the ball doesn't get snapped.
That's a problem.
Play doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It becomes a problem. So
yeah.
I was on the football team. I played some, but not consistently a ton. And probably because I wasn't that good at it, but I love the sport, but I'm sure hearing had something to do with it too.
Yeah. And before you told me, I had no idea. And so I, like you said, maybe it's just something that you think about, and I'm glad that you are thinking about it and you're overcoming. But I'm wondering, even regardless of hearing things now, as we move forward into 2021, 2022, and goals that the bank has and goals that you have, what are the next hurdles that you're excited to overcome? You've overcome all kinds during your life. What's next for Chris Hiner? What are you looking forward to?
We're starting to work collaboratively. Like I said, we had the 12 different community banks working semi-independently, and now we're working collectively as one. I'm going to help oversee the home lending and mortgage function for the corporation. And we're right now in the process of getting our lenders to work more cohesively as a unit. So trying to overcome beyond the COVID issue is getting people across multiple counties and multiple states to work together and for one common goal.
And how will that improve? Why is that important? Why is that getting everybody together, working together for a customer, for your customer? Why does that matter?
Sure. Well, for example, in our old world, we had here in North Central Ohio 3 different bank names. From in Ashland, in Mansfield, and Bucyrus were all different bank names working. We really didn't know what they were doing or how they were going about their business or how we were serving customers. But by working collectively together, we're able to create best practices and find ways to serve more people.
Yeah, and that's what the goal is.
Sure, it takes the confusion for the customer away, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, Chris, I am just really thrilled that you were able to share your story with us. I know it's not always, at least I would imagine it's not always easy to share some of those personal things, but you were very forthcoming. And I know that takes not just grit in business, but grit every day and working hard to be a good father and to be a good husband and to be a good community member, and you're overcoming those things. And so you are an inspiration to others. And I really appreciate your time here on Dash of Grit.
I greatly appreciate you for inviting me.
Hey, Chris, if someone wanted to contact you, learn more about you, maybe learn more about the bank, how might they do that?
Sure. They can email me at chris.hiner@parknationalbank.com, or feel free to call. My personal cell phone is 740-323-6455. Call, text anytime.
Very good. Chris, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I want to thank you for being on A Dash of Grit. It's brought to you from all of us here at Spire. We create digital marketing campaigns and website platforms that help drive business growth and success. And we try to add some grit to your team if you are looking for those kinds of things. And so on our website, if you're listening now, it's a contact sales button. If you click that, I'll answer. I look forward to talking with you. And I look forward to you listening to the next episode of A Dash of Grit. We are Spire Advertising. Thanks again to Chris Hiner, Division President of Park National Bank right here in Mansfield and throughout Ohio. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
This is A Dash of Grit. Recipes for success from courageous leaders who overcome challenges and build great things.